Recently, we learned that multiple Destiny projects were in the works at one point. A spin-off third-person open-world game and a possible mobile project. Today we take a look at some concept art from Destiny's early development phases. Ones that show crazy depictions of worm gods, others that may have been early designs of what turned out to be the Witness and the fifth race of darkness. Others are connected to some top-secret projects. Let's take a look. We know the recent news from the layoffs. Destiny Project Payback was a thing, but was scrapped a while ago. It wasn't going to be Destiny 3, but it was going to be a spin-off third-person open-world Destiny game where you play as some of the game's most famous characters. It's no surprise that Bungie had concepts and sprung up some ideas for other Destiny projects given how big the franchise has become over the years. But as of now, it seems like none of those are going to happen at this current moment, the full focus on Destiny 2 and Marathon. Today though, we take a look back at some concepts from different Destiny 2 eras, showing you some of the early designs that inspired in-game content and stuff we've never seen. Some of these are just concepts, their purpose to inspire and brainstorm for development, so don't get too crazy, but others apparently were for unannounced Destiny IP projects, possibly Payback itself. Let's take a look. First, we take a look at the art of Piotr Jablonski. We've looked at his amazing art before, but there's some new updates with some older concepts. On ArtStation, artist Piotr Jablonski has some pretty amazing work. Most recently, some Diablo pieces from the new game that released last year, but he worked on some images for Bungie's Grimoire anthologies previously, and even some seasonal art back in Splicer. He has a bunch of the art in the anthologies on his ArtStation, but he also has some other posts, Destiny IP 1, 2, and 3, which are intriguing. Destiny IP 1 says, throwback to 2718, weird unused character exploration for the Destiny IP. Destiny IP 2 says, throwback to 2017-18, species explorations for the Destiny IP. PS, all of these Destiny IP concepts weren't originally created for any current Destiny series, neither the first or second and any expansions. The rest is a secret. End of story. These are really unique when you take a look at them, like nothing we've seen before in terms of character design. The first image shows a character which kind of reminds me of the Witness in certain aspects. Multiple heads, different signals with its hands and arms. It's crazy to try and think what this was meant for, but all we can do is speculate. Was this an enhanced human, some type of early exo, or a new alien race? In IP2, we get some art of the Fallen with no armor. At first glance, these looked really hive-like, but they have 4 arms, so I'm assuming they are the Elixni. In this image though, they look much more grotesque and appear to have a different walking pattern. Something like this would fit perfectly in an Alien Isolation style horror game. We fight the Fallen all the time and aren't really afraid of them, but imagine if you were just a normal human and saw this thing walking around. In IP3, we have a feminine-like character with some tech around her head. They wear a cloak which can be seen in different forms. Now those have been out for a while, but on Pietor's Instagram over this last week, he's revealed more concepts from that time period. These ones just say Destiny early exploration from around 2017, and don't specifically mention a new Destiny IP project, so I'm assuming these were originally for Destiny 2. We see strange humanoid characters that seem to have smoke coming out of their head, possibly early concept for the Witness or Darkness 5th race. Maybe at one point the Witness wasn't just this one entity, but many different enemies we would face. A humanoid figure mixed with something else, kind of like a hive design in the bottom with a humanoid top body, some type of centaur thing going on here. I'm not sure exactly what this was, but would have been pretty horrifying to fight. And then we have some interesting figures with large headdress designs. The only thing I could think of with these is that they are Darkness related. We know Bungie's been working on these Darkness characters for various years, the Tormentor since before Witch Queen, and then the Grim finally released in the final shape. So it is possible that these concepts have always been there and have been inspiration for what we now see in the game. Moving on, we have some more epic art from D. Phillips on ArtStation, who did some concepts for Warmind back in the day, the early days of Warmind. He says, "This is a selection of early work I created during the Destiny 2 Warmind project. These represent early explorations of NPCs, Rasputin, Anna Bray, Nokris, etc. Enemies and themes created when the narrative direction was in its infancy. Most of these are loose sketches, unfinished works, and IP warm-ups. I left the studio during this time, and so these are a window into the ramp-up period of a new project." So what you're about to see, these crazy concepts for Warmind, were meant to kick off production. Concept art often gives other developers and artists an idea of what kind of world they want to create, its atmosphere, mood, and style. So say Phillips created a piece of art like this and showed it to the narrative team. Maybe that boosts up their production and thoughts on where the expansion is going to head story-wise, or the other way around. Maybe their narrative inspires his art. You get the idea. But these concepts are really out there. You can see how much these characters have changed over development. Early designs for Anna Bray, Nokris, and Rasputin in different forms, the Guardian fighting a worm god. Mars also looks much different in some of these pictures. The Clovis Bray facility is protruding from the canyons in pristine condition compared to some of the rundown areas we see upon release. There's also some pretty crazy armor and different looks at the concepts for the worm god Zol. So I'm going to go ahead and let some of these play, maybe explain some things with some text, but definitely check them all out on D. Phillips' ArtStation. So you can see how some of these make sense. They change the look of Anna Bray, of course, but these were early concepts. She even appears different from the early Warmind cover art we saw when Destiny 2 released. Nokris, some Hive concept art, sure, some crazy Rasputin stuff, but then you have weird ones like this. Now I have no idea what's going on here, but it looks like this is in some type of Clovis Bray facility given the logo at the bottom, and some type of entity or being is consuming this Guardian or Rasputin. Behind them definitely looks like the Traveler unless it's some other technology, but very interesting indeed. What if back in those days maybe the Traveler was a part of Clovis Bray's creations? And of course I'm just rambling, no evidence, but some crazy concepts. And before we wrap this up, let's also take a look at some art on Behance from Chris Biere. These specific frames were concept frames for Destiny 2 cutscenes created with Blur. This is for the Dream cinematic in the Red War campaign. Now most of these are the same, we see some of this imagery in the final cutscene, but there are some stills that were interesting, especially back when Destiny 2 launched and we didn't know much about the pyramid chips. Specifically, this one right here with a giant pyramid about to crash into the Traveler. You then have a mechanical bird instead of the one we saw in the cutscene, and then a ghost being consumed by some tendrils of darkness. The final cutscene still does depict some of this, the darkness consuming humans and so on, but these are a little more graphic and seem to explain more than Bungie wanted to let on at that current moment in development. So Guardians, there you have some crazy Destiny concepts that were unused. I'm sure some of these, like the Warmind one, specifically inspired content from that expansion, but others we have no idea what they were meant for. Was it a TV show? A movie? I'm sure there's other crazy concept art like this out there, and if you found some cool ones, be sure to let us know in the comments. If you'd like to see some other Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.